Hello there, all you lovely way showers, light workers, star seeds, and awake and aware individuals, conscious, sovereign individuals listening to my YouTube broadcast today. This is Magenta Pixie speaking, and today I will be interviewing Daniel Nenesso Maclean. Daniel is one of the rainbow children, the nine tell me. And perhaps looking at that a little bit deeper, the nine show me that Daniel is one of the individuals that is a kind of a hybrid or a blend of the indigo and the crystal frequencies as one. I say rainbow children, he's actually in his 20s, so he's not exactly a child anymore, but he is one of these, the new wave of these awakened individuals, of which there are many, and I'm delighted to be able to support that wave in whatever way I can. Daniel Nenesso Maclean interviewed me on Valentine's Day for his new YouTube channel, and he interviewed me about love, of course, for Valentine's Day. You can listen to that interview on his YouTube channel. So now here I am interviewing him. I would like to tell you a little bit more about Daniel. He is an actor, he's a writer, and an intuitive life coach. He doesn't necessarily channel in a conscious way like I do with beings like the nine, but he taps into that 0 point wisdom that we all have access to, which is exactly the same thing really as channeling, depending on how you perceive it. The nine tell me that many young, talented, creative, awake and aware rainbow children will be coming forward this year with their various creations and their various knowings, and I am delighted to be interviewing one of these individuals today. So can I please introduce Daniel Nenesso Maclean. Hi Daniel, thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed today.
Awesome.
Excellent. Okay, right, well, my first question to you is, I would like to ask you, I know that you work differently to me, don't necessarily communicate with archetypal beings like I have the nine, and yet, having said that, you work in a very similar way to me, and a lot of the information you get is very much in parallel to the information I get. In fact, you and I have been communicating for well over a year, 18 months, and I don't think we've ever picked anything up that's in conflict, have we? We're always getting very similar things. And
Not at all. The synchronicities that I've experienced with you alone are just profound, which is, again, what drew me to connect to you.
okay, well, what I'd like to ask you really is, how did you get started really in making this psychic intuitive link in your own words? Do you have any early experiences of being psychic as a child or having contact with any kind of beings? How did this kind of start for you?
It was really kind of I feel isolated. I don't remember a huge portion of my childhood, particularly like with my family. I mean, I have a large family. There's six of us, and one of them were like, Daniel, do you remember, going on this adventure or doing whatever as a child? And I say, not particularly. And so it kind of opened, wondering what was going on, because I would, sit there and think, well, am I going to remember this later on? Or, what else don't I remember? But it was always a question, a daunting question. Whenever, my mom would go to church, nothing was forced upon us religiously or as far as a belief structure. So I linked up with performing as an actor. And so through that performing, I was able to feel okay, because I would see, performers like one of my idols, Jim Carrey, perform in Mask, where he just becomes, possessed by Loki in this mask, the god of mischief, and just goes off and is able to, experience what I would perceive now as quantum reality versions of that. So that daunting question just kind of led into my performance, and then over the years of moving through in insecurity and, self-doubt and healing and self-acceptance myself, I started asking myself these questions and delving into them. And it was a discovery. I would say a discovery, but come on, because I never had any communication with beings. I never had any communication with my higher self or higher guidance as far as direct, like you would have with the Nine and other channels would have, or even light, things like that. I've seen those later on, but directly when I was younger, absolutely not. It was totally isolation. I was left, so I thought to myself, know now that I was never alone. But that process was definitely an organic one, and I can never go back, but I look back and say, it definitely was lunch, and I'm very, secure in my oneness now as I live it now.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that, Daniel. I would like to ask you now, how has your sexuality affected your spiritual path? And the reason why I ask you this is I've released information from the Nine in video form about homosexuality and how that relates to the spiritual path of the individual. And I've had several emails from homosexual people who feel that they've really struggled with their sexuality in their life. Many of the reasons for that is to do with religious prejudice and certain things that are sort of delivered in a biblical sense. I'm not pointing the finger at the Bible, but there are certain things in there that suggest that this isn't something that the higher spiritual energy accepts, and this isn't the information I get from the Nine. The Nine have always told me that whilst the male female energy come towards creation and create children in a physical sense, yes, that's the heterosexual path, but that the male-female balance can also be in a homosexual couple. That doesn't mean one is a man and one is a woman. It means a balance of male-female energies between the couple in general, and they come together and make creations. It doesn't have to be a physical child, but it's still just as important on other levels. So for anyone out there who is listening, who is a homosexual and is wanting very much to be walking a spiritual path and particularly an ascension path, can you give any tips as to how it may have affected you in your own sexuality, and B, any tips for them as to how they can come to terms with that and embrace that spiritual energy just like anyone else, really?
Good question. I would say that the clients that you've come into contact with that question and the people that pose these questions out there, I'm no different. It's difficult. I'm recently 26 years old. Yeah, so I'm absolutely no different. Growing up, I would say, I wasn't in the dark alone because I felt like I had this demon or this other thing that was pinned against me, which was, my sexual orientation there, since birth, as far as I can remember. And it started to become more of a problem when, the integration of these systems took more effect on me, like my school, especially high school, junior high. We see that out there now with a lot of, kids that are being bullied and daunted with that don't have a spiritual path. But yeah, I did go through a point where I looked really closely into Christianity. I put my beliefs fully into, views, other beliefs, and it didn't quite fit. Nothing did with me, which is why, again, I felt so isolated. And it was kind of like the icing on the cake for me. I found I couldn't have friends, and, the closer male friends, especially that I had, knowing that they weren't that way, or even if they were, I wasn't comfortable. And so that really restricted the flow of everything within me because I wasn't allowing myself to forgive myself, heal from that point, and move forward with my work. And only over the recent years, like I said, I'm just turned 26, and only over the recent years has it become part of me wholly. I've come out with, my family. I'm very, very fortunate to have the family that I have and the friends because they know me in my totality and my vibration. So it matters not my sexual orientation, but, it was kind of like my popping, I would say, that healing, that self-acceptance within me and just going forward with myself. It was really like a pop where more. All of a sudden, it didn't really come up, but it also didn't matter. And, I haven't had any difficulties with it in spirituality or any sort of spiritual master or guru coming forward saying your sexuality will hold you back. And I mentioned in our interview before on Valentine's Day where, love knows no gender. And so I felt as though I wasn't going to be able to have that opportunity because I can't be fully myself and I can't move forward. So it held me back. So the more comfortable I got with myself, I found myself falling into those relationships, superficial at first. And from there, it led to like more meaningful relationships. And then once I had, that I've experienced the twin flame connection, very much so. And so that connection opened me up to love within myself, popping with my mediumship, psychic ability, these visions, the feelings of energies, and, being able to open my centers to actually be that mirror for others. It did enrich those relationships and popped within them as well. But it kind of helped me move on. So now it's something I don't even think about. And I would really say to those worried or in any regard sort of, thinking it's holding them back or they need to transcend this within themselves, it within yourself, but through acceptance, not through denial or moving past. It's who you are. In many other lives, you've been men, women, gay, straight, queens. You've been everything. So you're everything now. And what is the big deal with accepting a little bit? Because I guarantee you, it's a belief. And remember, this whole process, 2012, going through this transformation and ascension process is all about transcendence and ascension. So I really think that anyone out there should do that. And it was really difficult for me as a performer, as an actor, because the first thing that slams into my mind is great. The tabloids are going to have fun with me if I do reach my goal. If I do have that, global recognition and that success, they're going to be like, where's his girlfriend? Or where's his, sexual image? So to those children out there that are, at 18 and older, upwards in their 30s, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. Love knows no gender or age. So as a performer now, I'm more confident and able to move within myself. I don't hold myself back in my mannerisms or my voice or that character's too masculine, no one's going to believe it coming from me. It was more transcend that belief, accept it, heal it, be it, and then I'm able to actually be a conduit myself as a channel for any role I take on, including my personality. So that became more fluid. It's not a difficult process. It's not. Because once you realize you need to break beliefs, you start saying, okay, let's make a grocery list. Where are my beliefs? Once you look at those beliefs, you'll realize that what's holding you back is that belief, because you will not find in a spiritual experience anyone coming to you, your guides or someone saying that you're wrong in your expression. You're exactly perfect. Once you know that and you do what has been taught before by example of going within, you will go in within yourself and you will become yourself.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I feel it is time that prejudice of any kind is transcended, dealt with. Those that don't deal with prejudice, they are the ones that are going to feel the negative backlash of that. Those that are going into unity and oneness, embrace all. Color, creed, sexuality, age, life situation, whatever. So really important question to address, I feel. And thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely. I mean, if you need any motivation, if you need any sort of motivation, just literally understand we're going from a separate consciousness perspective into unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is the perfect marriage between the male and female aspects within yourself. That yin yang. No, not exactly 50% as in the masculine, looking at the number perspective of it, but 50-50 as in just balance. Can be anything, but it's in balance. Whether you're a very masculine straight man and you embrace a feminine creative side, that same thing goes for a very effeminate man and doing masculine things with his life. It doesn't matter. Or woman. So when you realize and totally embrace that we're going from that separate consciousness and moving into unity consciousness, just say that word, unity consciousness. It will help you transcend that which you're not moving through and accepting.
Fantastic. Absolutely, totally agree. And that brings me to another question here. And I would like to ask you, with the connection that you have, whether it's, presented as beings or going inward or through meditation or however you access that intuitive knowledge, the Akashic Records of all that ever has existed and all that will exist, that sort of super conscious knowledge that we can all access. Within that accessing, have you received any information or feelings or visions of any kind regarding this year of 2012 and specifically where we are now in 2012, what's sort of happening globally in the energetics kind of today, 27th of February 2012, and going forward throughout this year and coming to the culmination point on the 21st of December 2012? What are your feelings and your perspective on that?
That's a good question as well. My feelings and my perspective, um, again, I want to put it out there when some people are so caught up in the mind aspect of these things where they go to channels like yourself and sources like myself and other ones that are out there. And the communication that I have isn't like you with the nine. It's not like other people with their channels or with angels. And even in meditation, it's not. It's the people I meet are giving me the answers. The dreams I'm having are becoming the answers. And so it's hard for me sometimes because it's just the energy that is transcribed coming through. So you perceive it from the nine as direct communication. I'm sure, early on, a different sort of translation. So energy translation can be difficult. So if people understand that, then they can say, okay, it's an energy translation. And sometimes, you really need to be open to hearing it. And if you don't like the source, practice. Translate it yourself. Feel it yourself because it actually works. So that's something that I stress to friends and family, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to share it now because that's very important, and that's what I do. I just translate that sort of energy. But 2012, again, as I say, I don't have beings coming to me telling me what up, but I do, in essence, have feelings intuitively and a strong connection to timelines. And for me, the 21st of December 2012 sort of feels like the middle of a teeter-totter where you have both ends, and it's kind of like this. Right now, I feel as though 2012, it's a year of one. So this year of one is going to see things happening at quantum speeds. People are going to be transcending, moving through relationships, moving on to projects creatively and coming together with like minds randomly. You're going to see people starting to connect that, otherwise may have taken a while to do so. People coming forward with their work. There are people writing books. There are people doing blogs. There are people making videos. So when you wake up in the morning, you kind of toss and turn. You realize maybe you want the covers back over you, so you put them on, but they come off quicker. It's kind of like waking up in that paradigmical bed, so to speak. And so you never know what's going to happen because people are doing it every moment, February, March, April, May, when you wake up in the bed and then you start your day. So I see 2012 is the start of that new day. And that new day can start right now. You don't have to wait necessarily until then. But at that level, there's going to be so many others. Intuitively, psychically connected to them. You're going to be physically connected with them. You're going to be doing work with them over the web and in person as well, wherever you are. Waking up, realizing you're in the bed, and then saying, I'm in the bed, I got to go start my day. And your day is the future and beyond. And it is what you are anyway.
And it's every day at the moment, isn't it? On a daily basis.
Every day. I wake up with visions sometimes, and sometimes I can't tell the difference between reality or I go down the street, I meet literally the person who was in my dream, and I'm like, my God, how do I tell that person? And, you realize you don't need to. Just merrily, life is but a dream. So the more we embrace that, the more creative we can get. Because with our waking life, indeed, we can lucidly dream. We can create on that level.
So my next
Absolutely.
question really is about the nutritional path that seems to occur with most people when they take a spiritual path, and indeed an ascension path. And obviously a spiritual path and an ascension path are related but different. Have you been called to making any nutritional or dietary changes? And also, I would like to mention that yesterday I watched a video of a lovely couple who were breatharians, and I know that you and I have actually discussed this briefly before. What I found so interesting about the couple that I witnessed on the video, and I think this is, I don't actually know the name of the couple. I'll put it in the finished edit if you want to watch their video. But what I noticed with them, with clients, I've seen many indigos, many crystals. I've seen the rarer patterning of the blue ray individuals, and some individuals who've incarnated on the violet ray. As you know, these are metaphors to explain the patterning of the person, matching the dimensional sort of consciousness that they're existing within. But this couple were diamond light individuals. Now, I've been told about the diamond light individuals from the nine, but I've never met them. So I was going to ask you, in your knowledge of the dietary path and the nutritional path, and any knowledge you have about breatharianism, have you been called to sort of discover any of these ways of eating or ways of living? And would you say that a path of breatharianism can lead to a sort of higher matrix, if you like, within the energetic field of the person. I've never seen diamond light individuals before until I saw these breatharians and I saw the diamond light patterning that was very evident to me. And I know that that's my metaphor. So, what are your feelings on that?
Good question. I actually did see that video. I saw that share on your Facebook, so I watched it right away. Very interesting. I shared it as well. It's definitely, absolutely something that I've been called towards. My nutrition has changed dramatically just over the past 60 days alone. And I find, again, the things that I'm doing are intuitive. I have been having, guidance along the way come to me, like I said, with people I meet with knowledge. So as I move into that myself, I've been doing a detox. And I'll tell you, I do feel that that is the way to move forward in any regard spiritually. So when you have that connection, that mind, body, spirit, and soul, and spirit is your essence, soul is your experience. Once you have the marriage of all of those three, you'll just know what to do. And as you know what to do, you'll start changing your dietary patterns. And you'll see this with vibrationally with people. You'll start to shift away from certain particular people. You'll no longer experience them in your reality. Diet, absolutely. I've been, like I said, detoxing for the past little bit, more so hardcore. And I do feel the intuitive pull and the connection with my higher aspect that this is indeed the way to go. And if you do move into this sort of place of eating these organic, locally grown fruits, vegetables, grains, superfoods, super herbs, they do in their essence, in their own self, have a coding within them that is able to assist you in enhancing your blueprint, choice perspective into carrying out your blueprint, and also taking advantage of the energies right now of this 2012 Ascension transformation that's coming towards us, that we're moving towards. So when you use them in conjunction, again, a great resource that I've come into contact with is one of the world's foremost. His name is David Wolfe, Wolfe, and you can Google him. There's phenomenal information that he's put out there. He's been doing this living it for about 20 years now, and it's just an incredible source. So he is, again, one of those people that sort of came to me. And, the more you do it, the more you become it. You are what you eat. And from my experience, vegetarianism can go to veganism. Raw food can turn to water and juice fasting, like the breatharian couple. And then it can turn into living off of breath itself. And people say, oh, you're living off of breath. How can you do that? It's not necessarily living off of the breath itself. It's being aware that you are the breath. When you're aware that you are the breath, you don't need anything else. Your mind is hungry. Your body's a program. It's a biological computer. So it needs certain things and components to run. But if you upgrade your hardware, which is what we're doing here in the Ascension process, and that's why I say these things work in tandem. Weighing out the processed foods. Don't eat anything from a package and from these corporations, and let your knowing guide you. You know you don't support the company and the behind what they're doing, especially the food they're producing, so why consume it? So I find a raw alternative, and I'm telling you, there's incredible recipes if you're a foodie like myself, and I'll be sharing those with you on my YouTube channel very soon. But absolutely, your diet, your nutrition is your life, and if you want your life to be loved, let that reflect your diet and move forward. And like I said, you don't have to make it your goal to become a breatharian. But I can say absolutely with the process that I'm making, I myself as an example, and again, I will be sharing this with everyone, you can go far and you can do what it is you know you can do. And so diet is that foundation. If you don't have the foundation, you can't build the house. You can't build the mansion that's up there in heaven, okay? So build the mansion. Build it yourself.
Yeah, watching you talk and watching the shifting between the physical Daniel and then tapping into the wisdom, and anyone who is a sensitive will be able to see the energy shift as you tap into that wisdom and go deeper and speak from that higher place. And it's wonderful to watch, and I have so many questions I'd like to ask you. So I'd like to apologize to any of the people watching this today for a little bit of sound issues, as it's the first time I've conducted an interview like this. It's great fun.
Hooray!
Yeah. It makes a change
Me too.
from me doing all the talking. I love it. And would you come back again and let me interview you another time, because I have a list of questions here?
Absolutely, Magenta Pixie. I mean, our relationship, we always have one of those ellipsis, one of those dot, dot, dot to be continued. So I very much look forward to coming back and sharing with all your subscribers whatever else it is that we're going to get down to isness about.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.